So you now refresh me. You own in Tulum or you own in Cancun?
So I own a hotel condo property in Tulum, and we're
Okay.
actually ongoing shopping. If something comes along that we like, we'll snatch it up. I don't know how familiar you are with Mexico and real estate right now. Cancun side, basically everything is all cash, so very difficult to do anything financing wise. Whereas West Coast Mexico, there are some options, but interest rates a little bit higher, but there are options.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting because like I've seen some developers offer some financing and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yep. And you,
But
you, you want to be careful because part of it is the verbiage they use is a little bit different than what our verbiage is. And even between US and Canada, I'm sure there's some differences as well.
yeah,
But usually when they mention free developer financing, and that's usually what you're going to see on a flyer or a marketing piece of some sort. It's going
yeah,
to be a pre-sale property. And what that means is they're not charging any interest on basically a scheduled payment is pretty much what it is.
okay,
So if you're basically getting into contract 2 years or 3 years before the completion date, that's called a pre-sale. That's what most
yeah,
of the new development is.
yeah,
And depending who is offering it, you can get some good deals doing that, but there is some risk because nothing is started yet.
right,
So basically, you'll have what's called a payment plan with that usually. So in order to get a purchase contract started, basically you're paying a down payment up front, which is basically your deposit. So down
yeah,
payment equals deposit, which equals anywhere from 10% to 30% usually.
right, right,
So that's upfront to get started. And then depending what that amount, the equity position they want you to get to. So if that's 50%, 70%, whatever that number is, it's arbitrary based on
yeah,
what they want. Basically, they'll do a payment plan. So every month, X amount until you get to that amount. And then basically a balloon at the completion date to basically exchange for your deed. So usually they want you to get to 70%. That's kind of the magic number. And usually it's 30% down. So 30%
yeah,
down, whatever that difference is
yeah.
monthly to get to a 70% pretty much right before the expected closing date. And then
Okay,
30% balloon basically at closing in exchange for the title deed.
right,
So when they usually mention free financing, it's basically that payment plan. You're not paying interest on it, but you are paying equal amounts split across 24 months or 36 months or whatever that is. So that's
right,
the verbiage that they use.
yeah,
There are some developers, if they do have deep enough pockets, they will offer a after delivery payment plan. And
mm-hmm,
that could be anywhere from 3 years to 5 years, but it will balloon basically at that 3 or 5 years. So
yeah,
the buyer
yeah,
basically will need to figure out, can they come up with that cash at that point? Or can
yeah.
they figure out how to finance it? Which, like I mentioned, very, very, very difficult on Cancun side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So there are financing options for Canadians and
For
Americans.
West Coast, so basically Puerto Vallarta, Riviera Nayarit, which is basically immediately north of Puerto Vallarta,
Yep,
um,
yeah, I've been there.
Cabo area, so all of the
Yep,
southern tip of Baja, and then potentially northern tip of Baja, so Ensenada,
okay,
that area.
yeah,
And pretty much most of these are US based companies. They're pretty much private equity firms. They came up with products and
okay,
they're basically choosing areas that they're comfortable with. And West Coast Mexico fulfills that. Um,
right,
East Coast, Southeast, which is Cancun, the only problem and what is keeping a lot of these private equity firms out
mm-hmm,
is there's just a lot of frivolous lawsuits in Tulum. And basically, Tulum, there's a lot of ejido land, which
mm-hmm,
for the US, we kind of equate it to Indian reservation land. So too many
yeah,
people have potential claims to that land. So even if you were to purchase it, someone were to sign it, you were to get a paper deed, all it takes is someone potentially fake saying, I own 1/200% or 1/1000%. give it to me, and you're stuck in lawsuits pretty much forever.
Wow.
So very, very scary. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much only affecting, for Tulum, pretty much that entire beachfront area is all ejido. So that's very scary.
Oh,
Once you're a little
wow.
bit more inland, it's okay. So
Okay.
where we purchased, it's in a master plan called Aldea Zama. I don't know if you've been that direction yet.
Okay.
Aldea Zama basically is in between downtown Tulum, so Tulum Central,
Yeah.
and the actual hotel zone, the beach. So it's pretty much
Okay.
equidistant, both of those. And the reason we selected it is the master plan, as far as what the master developer did before they sold it to the developers, is they actually did all the infrastructure. So everything is paved, all the electrical is underground.
Oh, nice.
So it's pretty much as finished as you can get for that area.
Okay.
And if you've been to that area, what's next to it is called Region 15. And then above Region 15, what used to be called Region 9, it got renamed to La Valletta. That area basically is dirt roads, and it's very bumpy, and it's all potholes.
Right. It's still undeveloped.
At some point, the government is supposed to pave it, but they're not going to pave it. Just put it that way, because whenever they have money, it gets, it goes somewhere else. Put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I've heard a lot of talk about, the dirt roads and stuff like that.
And
So
it's not a big problem, because a lot of the people that go out that direction, they like the nature. So it's not a super huge issue, not a deal killer in any sense.
No, but something,
definitely
a preference for some people to have paved versus not.
Yeah. So definitely a little bit more of that unfinished compared to a little bit more of a finished off community.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So tell me about what you own there. You own a condo hotel, you said.
So what we own is basically one condo. It's in a development that's 2 buildings, about 30 units total. And each condo basically is considered optional to enroll into their hotel program or the rental pool program. Okay. So a lot of Mexico, that's how they operate. You're either going to purchase a condo. If it's an investment, you can basically hire a property manager. And they basically do short-term rental, which is Airbnb primarily, or any of the other platforms, but primarily Airbnb. And then the second method is basically hotel condo style, which is very equivalent to what we would consider a service apartment. But how they market it is basically a boutique hotel. So it'll show up in Expedia, Travelocity, all of those platforms.
Oh, okay.
So it shows up as a hotel room, basically. And because it is operated as a hotel, usually the net profit number that comes out of that, compared to the exact same unit type, size, location, whatever you want to call it, that is similar but operated as an Airbnb, it's going to net a little bit more, because it's a little bit more uniform. The Airbnbs are all competing against each other. So if one of them lowers the price, all of them lower the price.
Right.
As a hotel, basically, you're not competing against anyone, because you basically have X amount, maybe 4 or 5 different unit types, and you have a set price for each of those.
Yeah.
So it's very hands off. So that's one of the reasons we decided on that type of asset, instead of a traditional condo and just hiring on our own, basically a property management company, which there are hundreds of them. So even if you select the wrong one, you're in trouble. So it's very, very difficult. And it's about the same price.
I've heard that.
Managed debt-free wise.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about maybe 20 to 25% off the top is basically that management fee for either short-term rental or basically the hotel management.
Oh, okay. So
it's the same price. So it's not really going to injure either way. And then with the hotel management, usually they'll give you anywhere from 2 weeks to 1 month of usage. That's either going to be free or close to free. So for the management company that's managing ours, they basically have several properties they're doing it with in Tulum and Playa del Carmen. Basically how it works is, if we want to use it as an owner, we basically book it at the open rate and then discount it by 20%. And that basically goes into the general fund that gets distributed to all the rental pool. And then, so basically we're paying money in and we're getting it back. But So it's not
Right.
totally free, but it's going to be pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So understandable. So in that scenario, you can't just block it off and use it whenever you want because you're part
Correct.
of the rental pool.
Correct.
Right. Right. Okay.
So it
that
all
would be,
depends kind of on the end buyer. What are their plans to purchase
Yeah.
it? If it's primarily an investment, we like to push the hotel condo concept because it's very, very hands off.
Yeah.
Basically, you just let them do their thing. Every quarter, you get the reporting and a deposit.
Yeah.
If you're with the Airbnb, you have to be a little bit more involved, unfortunately. Even if they say it's hands off, you still have to help them make decisions.
Yeah. You still have to, be a little bit more involved for sure. Yeah. But I can see like the condo hotel thing, like for somebody that's, only going to use it 2 weeks out of the year and collect an investment, collect a return on it. The rest of the time, I mean, that's a great option for a lot of people. Because I do have here on Vancouver Island, like the price points are getting so high. The rents are still really high, but the numbers are not jiving so good anymore because the price point has got so high. And so people are starting to look elsewhere for, some investment, right? So,
and Canada is the second largest foreign market for most of the locations within Mexico. U.S. is very high up, usually number one for most of those locations.
Yeah, interesting. Wow,
that's kind of how we hopped into it. Is we didn't want to recreate something, so we went into something that we knew there was already a market. We just kind of have to find our sub-market within that demographic.
Yeah. Okay. So now, do you live in Mexico most of the time?
No, I'm based in Los Angeles area, Orange County.
Okay.
We travel to Mexico multiple times per year.
Yeah.
So last year I was in Mexico probably 4 or 5 times. And most of those were to Cancun side. A couple we did events in Puerto Vallarta. So and then if it's a longer stay, we basically use our own condo for a week or so. So we've gotten good use out of it. Why not?
Yeah. Excellent. That's great information. How's your California market?
It's similar to what you just described. So the prices are real high. So as an investor, unless you're willing to go maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of kind of the central core for Orange County, Los Angeles, San Diego, any of the main cities, you're not going to get investment that's, to my definition, investment worthy, unless you can sit and wait forever, which some people, that's what they want. They want that appreciation at the end, and they don't care what that monthly is. What I like to kind of counsel my clients on is find something that you can get a little of both. So something from rental and something from the potential appreciation later on when you decide to sell it or exchange it or cash out, refi out of it, or whatever you want to do towards the exit strategy portion. And with Mexico, basically for any of these established tourist markets, there are basically a lot of options between 100,000 to probably about 400,000 is kind of that sweet spot that we've kind of, most of our clients are looking at. Once you get above 500,000, I like to equate that to a shiny toy. It's kind of something someone's going to buy to show off, saying, look, I have something in Cancun, or look, I have something in the center of Puerto Vallarta, or whatever. And those are going to be pricier because there's no land, of course. So Tulum makes a very good option because it's 2 hours south of Cancun. It's not completely built up yet. Cancun basically was started in the 1970s. Playa del Carmen, which is an hour south of Cancun, that was started in the 90s. And then Tulum pretty much started getting very heavily developed about maybe 10 to 12 years ago. So to 2000s, early 2000s, basically. But there's so much land in Tulum right now. So there's so much opportunity still, which is kind of why we like it. And it attracts a correct crowd. It attracts a younger crowd that can spend higher amounts of money.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I have been researching about Tulum is that it's still got so much room for growth. And, I was in Cancun 1989, I think it was. I was in Cancun.
Much earlier,
And it wasn't, the Hard Rock Cafe had only just been finished built at that time.
Yeah.
They would, and so I sort of in my mind equate Tulum to where Cancun was then. You know, it's been built up a little bit, but still lots of room for growth. You know,
but at the same time, a lot of the amenities and infrastructure is there, so it has a perfect balance right now. Basically, there's only improvement to go on. Not everything else is ready to go, which is good.
Yeah. Okay. Question for you. I heard somebody had said that the Wi-Fi in Tulum wasn't great yet. Is that the case?
Yep. So basically, because Tulum was built up so fast, it's pretty much accelerated. A lot of the infrastructure is not built up for the amount of people that are there, unfortunately. So for a lot of these communities, including where we are, Aldea Zama, they basically will have power outages. And if you have a power outage, your internet, of course, is going down since it's running a router.
Right.
A lot of the communities, if they are built for basically co-working, which some of them, that's kind of what they're featuring, is they're building micro units, so studios that are maybe 200 to 300 square feet. And pretty much 2 years ago when we first started doing Mexico, these were probably about 70,000. So they're pretty cheap. And when COVID first started, a lot of people, because they don't have to work from a set location, they basically ended up purchasing. So that sold like hotcakes very quickly. And one of their main selling features is, one is, besides the price, that's real achievable for the people that are working in tech and programming and the creative field, basically, is they have fiber internet and they have basically battery backup and all that. So that was one of the selling features, because their main demographic, they knew, was that younger working crowd that cannot be away from internet. So those communities, they basically have some redundancy, but usually if power goes out, you're going to be without internet for maybe several hours once they figure out what went out.
Right.
And if that's the case, really Playa del Carmen would be a little bit better, because Playa del Carmen, they actually built it as a master plan, the entire city, whereas Tulum, they just kind of piecemealed it together as certain needs came along. That's what I've heard, is that, like, if you are doing the digital nomad thing or, you know, working online or whatever, that Playa is probably the best place to go. So, but interesting to know what you said about these other little micro communities that have planned for that, you know, and then that's available. So, you know, definitely. And they have cool kind of business centers, and they have like social type areas. So it totally fits that lifestyle for that younger crowd. So many people do. I mean, so many people can work at home now, right? So we see it here on Vancouver Island, where, you know, a lot of people that were working government jobs or business jobs in Vancouver or Victoria, they're moving to the smaller communities because they can work from home now. So, so anybody that is, you know, wanting to reach out to you directly, how do they get a hold of you? So email is probably the easiest. Spencer at who.global, and that's not .com. .global is the actual domain. That's actually our consulting firm, is Who Global Consulting. Or text message, but usually I'm way busy in the field during the day, so can't really do phone calls on the fly. Okay, so the email is the best. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for all the info. Just so you know, it's going to be shared on my YouTube channel, and then I'll send you a link as well. Okay, I'll go ahead and broadcast it as well. Always happy to share.